is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
Excuse me as I rock on. That's Went Away by Dorothy Lane. Dorothy Lane out of Martinez, California. That's out of the Cut and Dry album. Check them out at dorothylanemusic.com. Yeah. Hey everybody, it's Ruel Abadam. Welcome to Ruel's Running Podcast. It's been a while, and a lot has happened, but hope everybody else out there in podcast land is doing okay. Hope everybody is doing fine. Ruel's Running Podcast is a podcast about running, health, family, play, and living an NSNG lifestyle. And that's a whole lot. On the surface, folks will pick up this podcast and think, oh, it's a running podcast. And I do talk about running time to time, and sometimes I talk about it more than all the other things that this podcast is about. And that's typically around the times that I'm maybe intensely trying to get some good training for an event, or maybe after doing an event. That's when I'll sort of do a more run-heavy discussion, I guess. And but most of the time, it's just what's going on in my world, and I try to find out what's going on in your world by opening things up on the website or on social, and or sometimes by having a guest on and seeing what's going on in that person's world. Haven't had a guest on lately, but probably I should do another one before the end of the year. I do like talking about food and coffee. So let's start off by talking about food, shall we? Now, I do say a lot, and I hope that you don't hone in on it. But now that I've mentioned it, you guys are going to hone in on it. So here we are. It is mid-November at the time of this recording, and last weekend was a long weekend. It was a Veterans Day weekend. I had work, but I took the time off, and the kids had the day off, the Monday off. My wife did as well, I think, but we took a trip. Took a trip to Southern California, where we live. It's in Northern California. And just to give you guys a sense of what's going on, and I'm going to talk about food eventually, but, there are wildfires that had gone on, maybe still going on, probably likely still going on. And we left the San Francisco Bay Area smoky haziness for Southern Cal, and on the way I didn't realize that there were fires down south as well. So we got to see a little bit of the plume of smoke in some of those areas. But where we ended up was closer to San Diego. We were in San Diego County. We did a stop. We did an overnight in Anaheim, and things were fine there. And then we did a couple nights in Carlsbad, and things were fine there as far as air quality. But despite the air quality there was a lot of news and reports about the devastation and loss happening because of the wildfires, both in the north and in the south. It sucks big time. And just wanted to touch on that. And there's a lot that we can take for granted, things that are just so simple and basic as far as comforts and amenities. And then when something like these wildfires happen that wipe out homes and lives, it's really hard. And and what we have at the moment is a lot of smoke, a lot of bad air quality. And that's the other thing that we can take for granted is just having clean air, And now that we currently don't have that, the quality of life is suffering.
Hey everybody, it's Ruel. How's it going? So, I'm on the go. It is Thanksgiving here. The evening of Thanksgiving Day, Thanksgiving night. And I'm driving. It's raining. Wipers are going on, doing their thing. And I'm heading to, despite it being Thanksgiving, I'm out going to do some Chinese takeout. It's a little after 9 in the evening. And we spent the day with family north of where we're at. And we had a nice lunch for Thanksgiving. And, but, it's one of those things where you have like appetizers, excuse me, then the Thanksgiving meal is served and there's a little bit of dessert, excuse me, and then the typical happens, you get stuffed, you just had too much or you're just tired of eating, and you figure, I'm not gonna eat anything else for the rest of the day, right? And so here we are, a little bit after 9 o'clock, and looking for food. And what better way to decrease your chances of finding food by looking for food on Thanksgiving night? When a lot of folks have shut down operations so that they can enjoy time with their family, or at least probably get ready, rested, and prepared to do Black Friday. A rainy Black Friday. Oh yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I'm out. I was out earlier. Failed attempt to pick up some Thai food, and headed back home. And then realized, there's a Chinese place that we like. Contact them to see if they're open. Lo and behold, they were open. So you're probably wondering, okay, what did you order? I'll tell you what I ordered. And this is stuff primarily for the family. So, this is, and this still falls into, eating between Thanksgiving and, I know Vinny says, it's not what you eat between New Year's and Christmas, it's Christmas and New Year's. But I think, you want to play it, you want to sort of, you understand the concept, and you put life into living in special moments. Thanksgiving kind of falls into that. But I don't think you want to spread out that gap of having life into living between Thanksgiving and New Year's, because that's just way too much. Way too much. So, but we're still rolling with putting life into living, enjoying time away, enjoying Thanksgiving. Anyways, all that to say is, I'm not eating I didn't order NSNG compliant food, but you want to know what I ordered as far as Chinese takeout? Chicken fried rice. My oldest son, enjoys the chicken fried rice. So, we get that. And then, salt and pepper fish. Right? It's deep fried in some sort of batter and salted. And it's garnished with fried, minced or diced or chopped garlic, and garnished with also some chopped jalapenos. And so that's that. What else? Salt and pepper chicken wings. So it's basically the same thing as the fish, but chicken. Same preparation. My other son likes the chicken wings, so there you go. The fish he likes as well, but sometimes he likes one over the other, so we get both. And my wife will, get at, because there's a lot of portions, so she'll enjoy some of that stuff. And me, I like, and it's basically candy. Right? It's the General's chicken, or genital chicken. Ew!
It's really good. You should try some genital chicken. It's kind of tangy. It's got a little spicy kick to it. It's really good. Try some Genitals chicken. The there I go again. General's chicken. That was tough to get out. But yeah, it's essentially, you take some fried chicken and then you have it swimming in some sort of sugary sauce, and then you kind of decorate it with some broccoli along the edges, and that's what that is. So that's Chinese takeout, and they are shutting down in 7 minutes. So I had 15 minutes from when I got home. So this place is pretty close. There's hardly anybody on the road, and I'm almost there. So I hope that you are getting through your Thanksgiving. I know not everybody has a picture perfect time away to Thanksgiving. I understand the reality that some folks might be visiting in-laws who they don't care to see because they just are annoyed by the in-laws, and I sympathize, and I pray for you, your strength and your patience and speedy exit from your in-laws. So, I hope that you can find the good in the time away. Maybe it's just a few minutes with the family, or the spouse or both, and and not having to worry about work. Yeah, I know you're putting on some uncomfortable clothes. You'd be more comfortable in, I don't know, some shorts or some jeans and a t-shirt. But instead, it's Thanksgiving and you've been asked to dress and act, or expected to dress and act in a certain way. Maybe you're wearing those khakis that don't fit as good as they used to, and you're having to just sort of go through the day wearing some slightly uncomfortable pants and shoes and maybe a shirt. I get it, because I go through that. And then in the end, you find your way home. You do. Find your way home and put on your comfortable clothes, and and then you go pick up some Chinese food. All right, I'm here. All right, guys, have a good evening. Talk to you later. Bye. Hey, it's Joel.
I wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind off and on. And usually it's on when it's raining, like it is right now. And it's as annoying as rain can be, it is very welcoming right now because last week there were wildfires that destroyed a lot of create a lot of destruction, a lot of loss, property, and more importantly lives. And we went through most of the week last week in smoke, horrible conditions as a result of the destructive fires. And we as a family, we took time off. We took time off early this week, and we went to Southern California, where by the time we got there, the air had improved, was improved in that area, and so we got to enjoy time away. On the way back, I was concerned about coming back to a lot of the smoke in the air, and so we drove back. We came back last night. As of this recording, this is currently Thanksgiving evening, and the back half of the journey back, we got a lot of rain. We drove through a lot of rain, and so got home, rained some more. Got up today, Thanksgiving morning, and see the sky, can see the clouds. There's no smoke in sight. But when we drove to be with family for Thanksgiving, we headed up north, and as we crossed what's called the Martinez or Benicia Bridge, we had a good view of the area around us because we were kind of high up there, and no smoke in sight, just sky and clouds, and it was nice. It was really nice, and I hope that with all of the rain lately, it helps put out those wildfires and hold back new ones from cropping up. So yeah, so it's kind of it's annoying, but the air is really, it's crispy and it's fresh and cool. And well, not right now, because right now I'm sitting in a truck that has some Chinese takeout in it, so it smells like a Chinese restaurant in my truck. But you get what I'm saying. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about rain, getting rained on. I like the rain. I like it when I don't mind the rain. I don't mind the rain on my head and any of that stuff, right? It's cool. I'll go out running in the rain. You get rained on when you're out in the trail, when you're out in an event, in an event, right? Whatever. I enjoy it. But there's this old wives' tale, and I don't know if old wives' tale is even a thing anymore. Maybe I don't know if it's an inappropriate thing to say, but I don't think it's not a legend. Maybe it's a myth, right? Or it's a I don't know. Yeah, let's call it old wives' tale. And I used to hear things like, when I was a kid, my grandmothers or my mother, so it came from somewhere. They would say things like, "Don't sleep with wet hair because you might wake up blind." Ever heard that one before? I don't know if it's a cultural thing, right? I grew up in a Filipino household. That's culturally, that's where I come from. But that's one of the things I get. Like, don't sleep with your hair, or don't sleep with your hair wet because you'll get sick. Something. I mean, what's worse? Getting blind. But, I'm like, really? Like, what if you were sleeping and it was really hot out and you were sweating and your pillow was wet and your head was wet and therefore your hair got wet, but you were exhausted and you were sleeping with wet hair? Do you then wake up blind or sick? Well, maybe your head was sweating because you were trying to break a fever. You were sick already. So do you get sicker because you slept with wet hair, or do you wake up not just sick but now blind? Yeah. So what's with the rain? The rain is, I can't go out in the rain because if the rain, like I get rained on, then I'm gonna get sick. I don't get that, because what happens when you're taking a shower? What is the difference of your head getting wet in the shower or your head getting wet from the rain? I don't believe at all that getting rained on, just a sprinkle, a spritz, a few drops, will cause you to get sick. I don't know, like the flu, or a fever, right? Fevers are a result of dealing with infection. So is this old wives' tale saying if you get a spritz of water in your head from a rain cloud, you're going to get infections? I don't buy it. But what I can sort of buy into is that you are raised on these myths or old wives' tales, and fear is placed on you enough times that you believe what you believe in this idea that getting rained on, a little bit of rain in your hair, is, you believe it so much that you manifest it physically. You stress out so much because you got rained on that somehow that stress, that anxiety, that belief had manifested you getting sort of under the weather, right? And how does someone with this belief, or this who believes this myth or old wives' tale, mitigate getting sick? Well, if they just can't avoid having gotten a little bit of rain on them, the way they mitigate getting sick is as soon as they get home, they take a hot shower or something like that, or they take a shower. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I'm gonna do my best to raise my kids to know that that's nonsense, because the last thing that we need in this world is to be scared about or scared of rain, and to be like, I need a hat on all the time, or an umbrella, or a coat, a hood. That's nonsense. Nonsense. What else is there? While I'm at it, let's move away from rain and let's get really disgusting. I talked about it once before on the podcast. I'll talk about it real briefly because I gotta go. There's a condition called, that was all the wipers, so I apologize for all that noise, but that setting, it's a stormy night. It's Thanksgiving night, and everyone has had their fill of turkey. Now it's raining and it's cold and it's wet, and some little brown guy is driving around the neighborhood with Chinese takeout in his truck. And the wipers go. And they go. They go and they go and they go and they go. And the wipers drive him crazy. Anyways, back to this thing called hydrosis. I talked about it once before on the podcast. It is a condition where your nerves are just so out of whack that
your palms sweat. It's, one other name is Palmer's hydrosis or hyperhidrosis. So your palms sweat, your feet sweat, right? And it's a bad thing, but I've lived with it for so long that I'm not going to go under the knife to have some doctor snip, clamp, or whatever, tie, parts of my nervous system so they can cut off sweating entirely from my armpits down, and open myself up for side effects as a result of messing around with my circuitry. So as a kid growing up with this condition, because I'm talking about me, hydrosis. My brother has the same thing, but we have, when we were little kids, our hands would be pretty sweaty, and my grandmother would say this thing, this myth, this wives' tale of the way you cure it is you pee on your hands. Can you believe that? You pee on your hands, and then what? Right? You're a kid. We believe the adults that are in our lives, and said, okay, the next time we go to the bathroom, we'll make sure we urinate on our palms, and then what? Then it's like, then you just let it dry. Disgusting. So dumb, Grandma. I love you, Grandma. So this little bit was on, myths, wives' tales, stupid stuff that makes no sense, but stupid stuff that people do because they don't know any better, or they are told by people they trust. But I can come up with a lot of this. I got to get a guest on and then try and find out what wives' tales and myths that they've heard, and, have some fun. But yeah, I'm home. I'll check you guys later. Bye. Okay, folks, just want to say thanks for listening. Be sure to follow Ruel's Running on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Say hi. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, I'd love to hear it. I don't often ask for it, but this podcast hasn't received a rating and review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts in quite a while. It would be nice to have somebody go in there and say they want to kick my balls and give me 5 stars. I would greatly appreciate it. So someone do that. Awesome. Now go out, hug your family, hug your friends, eat something delicious, and go run something. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.